Ndiamana sana mwanchi umulie wita seni kia Ndizi TV nebiro binde na ndengo kwaligania asomorobele obwense obonchelia elindo tabeto kwemanyana kense ya Kenya egende tokoene kigwa asensemeli yobonchelia lingi kyabere kegwonchelia naboigo okwerobelia gwe serikali ya Kenya kwanza sokoene kyangana na sensemo ya uchumi ama onchulio ngoikirani gwale mwanchi mulielia kerondo chengali tukulia neri tukoria Jumanne asimentinga abonchelia bange babere bakwerobelia bwikiranu nabayigo kwene kemnango ikirana bale asechiro kero maitenga litukeliga nelitukolie chiro ya Nyakoe na nimetenga abonchirelia babere bagwikirana sinsemo chinayo mwanchumulie nimetenga ngwimukire getambukere kyo goika asensemeli nabayigo kwegorera ebintu ayigo mwanchumulie ngokwalia nibene asomorobeliga irinde tobeto gusanga sobwamo gochakabona igagwika omoelio iliterane FRIDAH KERUBO nabakwenda kutubwatia asinsemo chichi mitandao asinsemo ya Facebook gwetera Ndizi TV News Digital nabiga asinsemo ya YouTube gwetera Ndizi TV News asinsemo ya website nabakwenda gwetera www.ndizitv.net Mwanchumulie nimetenga serikali ya Kenya kwanza negendete kwerobelia animono asokubika emirobelia nabigo kwene kyanga uchumi ya Kenya yaberege kogororoka ase chinsemo ekero kuligelia ngagati yemirobeli bayibere bakobeka mwanchumulie ndometenga Uwanchiria kwelire kwa bere gokoreta emichando ase chinsemo ekero kuligelia nga chinsemo nchirororo chabere chikwene kya omarakera naboigo kwene kya nga enchara nero yaberege kwene kigwa asense ya Kenya ekero kuligelia matukali ya maiga kunde serikali kaimukige tambuke naboigo koreta obuoyo bweligolire nsekegima elinde abalimi babe bakwenyorera obuoyo buna kwene kibnango simika bali endagere isaine Manchumulie kero kuligelia nga obolimi no bwenge nchukegima kero kuligelia nga na nebintu bikoni kwa ase chiro nebintu bikorwa ase migondo abone kero kuligelia nga magega yeli yesali ya kwene kigwa kubatikana nemirobeli eli ya serikali ya betege kobeko abone gantraba to kwene kia enchare kero kuligelia neligolire bituma gose asensemo yobosi anigo liabere likogwa kegima manchumulie na kero kuligelia asensemo yesukari gwikira bonoiga kana bete ngotaranga sechiduka skali kiremo yaberike wika sechishiringi chimibere igo manchumulire ebyongati ebintu biri bigendete kogwa sechichiro cheto ndochito kumanye asobwekeranu amagoli ase ebintu ebyo kondo manchumulire sensemo yeskali tobe tokora chikampuni chikogororwa nene no moraibwense kero kuliere kampuni ya Mumia kampuni ya Sony Sugar kero kuliere nga ichungati ye chikampuni chiri chabwata madeni amange serikali kabage kwene kyangamba chigwakana amadeni ayo elinde kwene kyanga obokoreri we chikampuni echongo ikirani gwabole Manchumulie kero kuligelia nga ekeganchagie serikali na kero kya sensemo yabo nkigendete kubike merobelio asokwene kyanga budget yo mwaka bwechiri bubere 2023 nabwo mwaka bwechiri bubere 2024 ngo ikiranire kero kuligelia nga asensemo yogo sangerelie bango ekerengo ngeroro kyabetege kubekwa se budget yo mwaka bwechiri bubere 2022 nabwo mwaka bwechiri bubere 2023 keronga serikali ya negatinga go ikabaike ekerengo trillion ibere nukta isano na yemo ibere na inye eyo ne target yabetege kubekwa sekiombe kelkyo gosangerelia ebango kolinde elinde gukirania budget yo mwaka bwechiri bubere 2024 no mwaka bwechiri bubere 2025 ngagetera beke guchaka itariki yemo somutenyi ogatana na kabiro mwako yiga anigo asensemo yo gosangerelia ebango yaberege kubikirwa ekerengo se trillion ibere nukta kianda inye na isano na isato igo mwanchumulie asensemo yo gosangerelia ebango maite kyombekeligia kyare kyaberege kubeka na kero kyemerobeli yo kane kinga ngo kera bale kero monto yubone to gwakana ebango abeka gwakana ebango tobe to kubolwa sama tukamange nga kero mo Kenya na bone to gwakana ebango kero kuligerelia nga evangeli gosangirirwa nere ko baye gukora amagendero sense ya Kenya ubwaga kigwe kiparangati ya biria bigokorekana kubwatikana nebango yo egosangiririwa kurenda sensemo yekiganja gya serikali na kero kiaberege kwaenekia ngokiania bale okukabesa chibesa korwa sinse chichesiko mwanchumulirie kero kuriria asense ya Kenya engana yo gukabesa chibesa korwa sinse chichesiko na kyo egento kiaberege koirera ense ya Kenya koira na magega anemono asense mo ya uchumi na baigo ase ensemeri ya magendero nige serikali yabetege kwaenekia chibesa chinyinge nigo bagwakana amadeni ayo betega kuimukigwa no borayiburi bweta korende asensemende nigo babiri bakwenekia mbabegete miroberi yogo kyani amakabeso ko chinse chichesiko kero mwanchu muri eli okoligereria agati yemeroberi babegete mono kwenekia ENSE ya Kenya ngo very productive ase ogo soke binto nige ENSE ya Kenya bwenete ebege ko ebintu biriego simeka tuteba sense moyo bolimi bintu biriego simeka unabone chae kawa biri bikoni go cha chinse chirichesko bibonete bibe kerengo kya igoro mono naende ebekego kyania ebintu biri bikugurwa kora chinse chirichesko go cha sense ya Kenya go manchimuliria yongati yemero belirie serikali gendeta kobeka sokone kya ENSE ya Kenya ngoskere eka tukurigeria sense moende terabaraisi ase abonchereria bali bakonia ebinyugo byo gotinde kero kurigeria asense mo y'abantu bali bakonia ebinyugo ebyo akobwatikana nebikore byo abantu gosiri obugima bwabo asobo tumekibwe ebinyugo ebyo abana niga amachiko aberega kubekwa mwanchumuliria kero kurigeria yaberige ko bakongera anemono bali babiri bakone biri bitanchiri ase serikali nakyo koranga omukonyi bumarayi bwense oberega akora ebikaro kubwaterana nabara yase binyoro kero kuriyelenga no asense meri ya Muranga babete bako imukiye getambukero nabo igogo chakia koena na chi license woya elinde baene kinga ningoko nia ebinyogo bigotindia biribikiranete gose biribiyanchire ne serikali omanchi muri eliantete toende mase ya mawikase county ya Mombasa somokonyi bumurayi bwense abetega kora egeikaro kyabene nabo igoko toiwe sababu sabali babete bakumira na mero birikeli barachikobeka asokwene kinga ebinyogo bibyogotindia bikoni gwa asense ya Kenya biribitanchire ne serikali ambabe bako bisirego mwanchumuli tatu sa sensemo ya kabere ye studio elinde tobeto konyora enkwane yo.
The leadership is quiet. Nimesikia at least Moha mjumbe wa Nyali huyo nimemsikia akiongea na Captain FRIDAH nimemsikia akiongea. I've heard her speak. That I want to confirm. But leaders are quiet. Why are leaders in Coast quiet? As our young population is being killed and destroyed by drugs. Why are some not here? This is a very important conference to discuss the very existence of our population in this region. This is a conversation that every elected leader should be part of because it's a serious problem. So that is a question I want to pose to our elected leaders. We want to hear you more. Tunataka tusikie mkiongea. Because leaders are very important. Because they represent the people. Unless the leaders are telling us there's no problem. Nyinyi mkituambia hakuna shida, mimi na profesa tu kuna kazi mingi sana ya kufanya. Kama hakuna shida kwa sababu mmenyamaza. Mbona sisi tuna insist iko shida na wenye hapo wanakimya kama hakuna shida? Sijui kama iko shida. Why are the leaders quiet? Why? It is very worrisome. Then we are concerned as a government. Why? The rest of the country, the leaders are up in mumps.
Ekyo egeikaro kiabete kegokorekana bwerit kolegora se county ya Mombasa kubatikana nemirobele yokonekia nga Gusii bale obonia na baigo botumiki bebinyogo bigotindia ebi bitanjeri ne serikali ekera yaberege konekiwa nga abarayi na babeire bagosabarayi na bwasensemo ya bataraba bagokora emirimo yabo bikirano erinda konekia nga ebinyogo bigotindia bitanjeri mbirigo ikirana asense ya Kenya. Manchu murigerelia asense mende ntumete county ya Homa Bay nerene gendete kwerobelia kerongo inyuliwa ngali tkolia rero mba watege ikaro kya bene nemono asogo kwanira ngakibago kinia ebirengo byobonchelia ase chinsemecho kolinde kwikira litkole igoro ni go mugabana bwe county yo Gladys Wanga betaka kwenekia nga emerobile yonsi yabereke go ikiranirwa kero ayenegetenga ababwatani gose bali bako gacha enibo yabo gose bali berule ko gacha enibo yabase county ya Homa Bay ababwatani kiribu emirongo na ibere konyara babere bagwikirana asense meyo nanigo omorobele yo lengete kwaliganirwa ase university ya Tomboya nabego nigo omarayibu ense arabeka gwikirana asense meyo nabego koyigora bene Manchu murigerelia ekero kwaligerelia county ya Homa Bay gati ya biri balengete gokoranga mona value addition sense mo yobolemi yani biri babwate barolenga kibarabe bakubmenta chinkuru na bigo kwenekya nga ngosoke bire enengo esaine to sense mo yakabere ye studio elinde tomirane no mugabana bwe county yo atoerere ningikelia roberetie.
Exhibitors have begun to arrive. We have way more than we expected in terms of exhibitions, so they are oversubscribed. We will be having a health village, we'll be having a climate village here. We have a mice village led here by KICC. We have, I mean, really, this is the best place to spend your next 3 days. So I'd like to call on Kenyans and investors from across the world to join us from 27th to 29th.
Indeed, the conference is something big for us. It is something that we will not take for granted. We just want to confirm to the guests, the delegates, the exhibitors that Homa Bay is safe, it is very secure. All that it will take is for them to come.
Okay, umanchu murigerelia aina ragendete ase county ya Homa Bay ekero egikare kyo kirabeke gokorekana asamatuko atato nabego kubwatani ababwatani akura chinse chirichesko nense ya Kenya na koenekya ngambirengo kibakobeka asogokinia obonchelia anase county ya Homa Bay nabego asense ya Kenya engima kondo manchu murigerelia to se asense moye serikali enene emerobeli abekira soko enekya bna kogororere uchumi onde ntoro chinga kurasike ganchagi ya serikali kyaberige koenekya nga nonya ense ya Kenya yemugetie egetambukiro kyogwakana angeri deni asense meri ye Eurobond yaberige koenekya nga nigo babere bakobeka risk enene se na ende shilingi ya Kenya gocha koborwa chinguru naboigo kwenekya nga $1 nechigotwara shortage naboigo ense ya Kenya nigera chikobage komenta lideni chinga kibono ense ya Kenya egendete korigia chi billion emyemo na emerongetano nomo 160 billion erinde kwenekya nga ngorusya bale lideni li Eurobond yomanchu murigerelia ekero omurayibu nsabeteka kuumirana n'abawaziri se county ya Nakuru sensemeri ya Naivasha babete bagokwanira ngaki ensemo ya uchumi nkerongo kitole bono iga atwa babere bagotenene gose babere bakogorora uchumi atyango tonyole nkwana yaye to tukumulikira mangana gosemero belia bete gakwene kyobekire elinde kumulikira engane yo kono mwanchumuli elantu kumulikira sobo ime ningiye ko yarabakwane kenga wakana lideni ya Kenya gwetre Eurobond yaberege kubeka eshiringi ya Kenya koba at risk nigera chikuborwa chinguru mono na ndeni go $1 era chikoba kego kyando chikumulikira sengane yu asobo imekero twabere tokoigwa enkwana yo murayibwense korwa ase county ya Nakuru.
Yesterday marked a significant financial milestone for Kenya as we successfully settled the buyback of a substantial part of the $2 billion 2014 Euro bonds that were scheduled to mature on the 24th of June 2024 by paying $1.5 billion raised on 12th February 2024. The successful execution of both the buyback and the new bond issue demonstrates strong investor confidence in Kenya through the international capital markets and a vote of confidence in the government's overall economic management, particularly our public debt management strategy. It is also a most important culmination of a determined turnaround policy from an initial state in August 2022 characterized by simultaneous reduction of revenues as a percentage of GDP and the increase of debt as a percentage of GDP, resulting in fiscal deficit, which led to unsustainable expansion of Kenya's debt stock. External factors such as adverse development in the international monetary system and the disruptions in the supply chains further compounded the situation, resulting in a steady weakening of the Kenya shilling. Upon assuming office, we committed to bring our economy back on track by taking necessary measures, making necessary choices, and outright sacrifices to raise revenue, reduce expenditure, and basically make sure that our nation lives within its means. We have pursued a turnaround strategy focused on increasing our tax revenue and reducing both spending and the rate of debt accumulation. Through this process, we have been guided by the principles and values of equity, fairness, and prudence in public spending without sacrificing priority social and development spending. In the interest of sound debt management, we have implemented a combination of strategies, including the diversification of financing sources, smoothing the maturity profiles, and proactively managing our debt liabilities in general, maintaining a low cost of debt and ensuring that debt is sustainable at all times. I am delighted to announce that our sacrifices and determined efforts have not been in vain. As a consequence of our commitment to sound debt management strategy, fiscal and general economic management policies, and the tightening of our monetary policy by the Central Bank of Kenya, investor confidence has been significantly enhanced, resulting in the appreciation of the Kenya shilling against the US dollar from an average of 162 shillings to an average of 142 shillings at the moment. In turn, this has reduced our overall debt by Kenya shillings 722 billion, and also reduced our debt service costs by Kenya shillings 195 billion over the next years, saving the country a total of almost 1 trillion Kenya shillings. Additional indicators of rising confidence include the performance of the recent issue of the Eurobond, the infrastructure bond, and increased liquidity in the market. As a result of robust measures to enforce fiscal discipline and implement prudent debt management, the successful turnaround has pulled Kenya away from the brink of debt distress, put our finances in good working order, and established the necessary conditions to execute the bottom-up economic transformation agenda on a sound footing. Consequently, our economy is on a trajectory that will create more jobs and more wealth, finance investment in goods and services, and usher this nation into the era of inclusive growth. Additional indicators of rising confidence include the performance of the recent issue of the Eurobond, the infrastructure bond, and increased liquidity in the market. As a result of robust measures to enforce fiscal discipline and implement prudent debt management, the successful turnaround has pulled Kenya away from the brink of debt distress, put our finances in good working order, and established the necessary conditions to execute the bottom-up economic transformation agenda on a sound footing. Consequently, our economy is on a trajectory that will create more jobs and more wealth, finance investment in goods and services, and usher this nation into the era of inclusive growth. It is necessary for us to inform the country where we stand today, especially after the anxiety of the last 1 year, where many in the international community were worried about Kenya's position and Kenya's financial ability to manage our situation, including our debt situation. I can now confidently say Kenya is no longer in the list of the countries that run the risk of debt default, thanks to the collective effort that has been done by my team at the Treasury and by the whole of government approach that has seen us cut down on many aspects of spending, make sure that we reduce the accumulation of expensive debt, and put the country on a trajectory of living within. We have a population that has very high expectations of us. And their high expectations are legitimate because they have a track record of my performance. So they judge me by a higher standard than would have ordinarily been the case. And because we work together, you are judged by the same standards, very high standards. So please, good people, don't be told, the principal secretary who was here used to do things like this, and they used to leave at 2, and they used not to come early. You are being judged by a different standard than the principal secretary who was there. You are being judged by a different standard from the cabinet secretary who was there. So please, let all of us, let's pull our socks, let's tighten our belt, and let us do what we have to do. As I have told each and every one of you, you have my goodwill, you have my support, and the reason why I appointed you is because I knew you have the capacity to do the job you're doing. I have been a member of parliament, I have been a minister, I have been a deputy president, and I know, and I can confirm to you, that government, well run, can do miracles. Yes. Government, well run, can do miracles. We have that opportunity to take our country to the next level. I am confident in the ability of the team we have here assembled, of cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries, to be able to get our government working in such a manner that we transform our country in our lifetime. And therefore, I want you to know that the real challenge Kenya has is the people to make decisions, the people to provide leadership. Each and every one of us must arm themselves to make the decisions that are on your table. It is by making those decisions that we will get the government of Kenya moving, and we will get Kenya progressing, and we will ensure the transformation of Kenya under our bottom-up transformation agenda. So, we have agreed. We have had wonderful presentations by different ministries. We've had wonderful presentations by different state departments. And as much as we have done well, we can do a lot more. There is a lot of room for us to do better than we have done. There was a time people were still trying to find, their way around government. I think that time is now behind us. Everybody knows what they must do. Kenya is a great country. Where we are today and where we should have been is a function of leadership. There are countries that were peers to Kenya a few years ago. Today, they are very well ahead of us. Examples are all over. And that is why I said when we opened this retreat that we have a historic moment, friends and colleagues. We have a historic moment to take Kenya to where Kenya should be. We are the leaders who will finally unlock the tremendous potential that our country portends. We have a great people, very hardworking population. We have innovative young population. We have a responsibility to make sure that we provide the leadership that will take Kenya to the next level. The challenge Kenya has always had, and we must make a difference this time round, is the challenge of leadership. Leadership. All of us must step forward. Myself as the team leader of this team, my deputy here, every cabinet secretary, every principal secretary must step forward and understand that we are the leaders of Kenya. And if Kenya is to go places, it is us to lead the way. That responsibility is a responsibility bestowed on us by the people of Kenya, and it is God who has given us the chance to lead this nation. I want to implore on each and every one of you to go out of your way. Let's make it business unusual and make a mark, make a difference in the ministry you are in, the State Department you are in. Make a difference. We must continuously coordinate. We must continuously synergize so that we can have a delivery that is all-encompassing. We cannot succeed if some of us are failing. Our success is going to be the collective success of each and every one of us. Do not allow your colleague to fail. Do not undermine your colleague, because if your colleague fails, in it is your failure. in it, let us find ways to encourage one another, to look out for one another, to support one another, and to find a mechanism to make sure that none of us is left behind, that we are all moving because we are one government. The head of public service has mentioned the coordination mechanisms in his office to make sure that there are no tough wars, that we are all reading from the same script, and that we continuously create synergy for us to be able to deliver. You've heard from Eden on the execution mechanism in my office to support those of you who are aligned in some of the decisions that we must make and we must execute, because we have a lot of interventions, we have a lot of goodwill globally from friends, from partners, from development partners who want to work with us. And some of the decision-making in government take too long. I have established the Office of Eden to make sure that decisions that need to be made now are made now. Because if we make the decisions that are supposed to be made now, tomorrow, or the day after, we may miss the target. So let us continuously work together in that manner. Again, let me we must deal with the subject of integrity. I must repeat that there is no room or space or opportunity for this administration not to deal with corruption firmly, decisively, and conclusively. As you heard in the meeting we had with the legislators and all the other groups, every principal secretary, every cabinet secretary is responsible for the decisions they make. It doesn't matter whether somebody called you or somebody threatened you, don't make the wrong decision. And if necessary, each and every one of you have my telephone number, and it's only one. I don't have two. And I believe every principal secretary and every cabinet secretary has my telephone number. In the event that you are in a place where you have been threatened by anybody, or if anybody comes to you and says, the president has said this, or I am a cousin, or a brother, or a relative of the president, and I want this or the other, please, don't believe them. If I want anything from any one of you, I will call you myself. And I can confirm to you, it will not be about any transaction. It will be about your performance. So, do not get enticed into situations, because that is one area that people get to make the wrong decisions. On occasion, I have called ministers, I have called principal secretaries to warn them whenever I have intelligence that wrong things are about to happen in your state departments. Whenever you need guidance, the Deputy President is there, Prime Cabinet Secretary is there, Head of Public Service is there, I am there, and all the other leaders. Let us coordinate, because we cannot allow integrity issues to derail the plan that we have.
His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, presided over the administration's second National Executive Retreat. The session kicked off on Monday 19th and has culminated on this 21st day of February, the year 2024. The retreat is positioned on a unique governance tool within the overarching accountability framework that the administration has established to continually take stock of the progress being made to honor the social contract with the people of Kenya, as well as the implementation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. As such, this year's retreat featured members of the cabinet, principal secretaries, members of the President's Economic Council, as well as other senior ranks of the executive. This year's convocation heralded new traditions and precedents that deepen good governance practices in public affairs. One important aspect of this was the participation for the first time of the Council of Governors in this forum, which is testimony of the administration's respect for the crucial role played by devolution in delivering a better Kenya for all. Taking into consideration the facilitative role played by the legislature, we also had a session with those that oversight the national government, the parliamentary group. This new practice demonstrates the administration's commitment to supporting parliamentary oversight, deepening political accountability, and creating a synergy in government that better delivers the Kenyan dream. In matters housing, the development of additional housing units under the affordable housing program is on course, with the construction of 46,000 housing units underway and another 40,000 units set to commence construction. 746,000 housing units are in the pipeline at various stages of delivery under the following categories, that is social housing, affordable housing, and market rate housing. Again, we were able to secure 120,000 new jobs through the affordable housing program. In matters economy and foreign direct investments, Kenya ranked as the 29th fastest growing economy globally by the World Bank, recording a GDP growth of 5.4%. Inflation eased to 6.8%, down from a high of 9.2% in the year 2022. Kenya was ranked third globally in attractive destinations for foreign direct investment in the year 2024, and the country led Africa in startup capital, securing an impressive Kenya shillings 124 billion.
Hayona arabete kagukwanerwa asege ikariki kyaba kyagokorekana sensemo ya Naivasha ime county ya Nakuru achinga kyomara ibense no mokonyo yeba bete bakumira na nabawaziri nabaliki babutambe asechi wizara linde kubwatirana nabo igokwane kyabna ngogorra bali uchumi ya Kenya kero babiri bakwanera emirobele babiri bakobeka sokubwatirana nabo igogoskia ENSE ya Kenya gochibosyo mwanchi muri ekonde wikirabo datoraswa asomutimo komokeiko tos katonyegera gwirantore asege kege KERUBO elinde tobeto gosanga amange
Ndizi TV ubwansu bw'Gusii. Omurigereria bwe television ya Ndizi TV nigo tukuiraniria ngambia muno asoko genderera guturigereria na gutusira kira rituko asemerubirio yeito yonsi chinsemero ngeberenenge bono onye kendegia korekanire ase kenyuru kiao ekiotagete utumanye asubwango mono abonda isi reke nambeye ase simiao enoti isano na ibere inya isato isano nemu ibere isato isano na isato isano na ibere eyemo elioto akire nabasaki baito baikasuri na kubeko roboti ubwo asembeo emesa ya mangana maya ya Ndizi TV nereyo kwa bekire simi yao ime kwekera bono ayabunu mwagachi kwa manyire duka okogenda kujia bintu byose biriyo kolere merimo yao Osmo Traders Limited niko babuate chitali chokwaranse ase nyumba yao nabo igokubeka sinyasi bune babu ejikoni living room nabo igo echikobe kwesiko babuate sanitary wares buna chising chibakuri chete cho chonsi showers towel holders soap dishes racks mirrors na hand basins chirangi chonsi chiria chikuburukanibwa ne computer nabo igo chiriche spray paint no chire babuate chipboard buna chips and boards MDF boards na chip boards hebinto au biokora plumbing buna PVC joints, PVC pipes, na chi water taps chonsi, no chire. Boigo, na boku gura chi cutting rods, hood screws, chigulu chonsi, door locks, chi pipe wrench spanners, screwdrivers, banyore, old Sansura building, angena Kisii main bus stage, gusua Kisimi, ase namba, enotisano naibire, eye mokianda, inye isano, enotinye, inye isano nemo. Osmo Traders Limited. Customer satisfaction guaranteed.
Salim.
Kyokoraga.
Na I went to go in Kyokora.
You know when I left in Kenya, I went to the airport.
Sagin. Nalero na kimuntu.
Gakuona kogo kwa
Nyabeta kira ritu kuri wiki kurwa Jumatatu wika Ijumaa chinsa ibere nenusu chiabotuko ime ya Ndizi TV Nyabeta.
Waswahili husema siku njema huonekana asubuhi.
Yani ritukurigia nigo rikorokana emambia.
Negati ya byorokererio byeritukurigia nakagaso gensakia.
Ime ya Ndizi TV ntumanyete obobisi bweritukeri bigia.
Nakiye kogera to korentera omurubiryo gwensakia. Umirana na inche Job Maangi.
Nenche Dorcas Kemoma.
Kia ritukuria wiki uchakira Jumatatu goika Ijumaa.
Uchakira chinsa 12 goika chinsa sato chamambia.
Tukumanyina ralialia aire obolito ase amagazeti.
Ayagendrete ase siasa.
Chisemi.
Dichiko.
Obosombi.
Nabo igo na yande amange. Wakire bya Job.
Wakire bya Dorcas.
Na kwereganire imiyo mu rubiro rw'ensakia.
Dorcas ni yariganire bene asomo rubiro rw'ensakia.
Nenche boigo ni yariganire imiyo mu rubiro rw'ensakia.
Naye yariganire bene toroseri tukoriao.
Laboratory ya Dynapath nige bwate evirenko byeigoro byobokoreri bokorenka marwaire bagotumia technology yekerero nechi machine chekerero gwetera sobokoreri bwabo bya nigo bancheire nekeombe gia Kenya Medical Laboratory Tech and Technologist Board iliyokurwa bokoreri yobwo
samugeta kuna unarega kama elaptech from Dynapath Laboratories. Itari itumu ya toro kurida moriri na malaria. kuri turi sukari twapima blood pressure kupima turi kidneys kupima turi liver function test zonse bakora
Nkuru barobokorera buna microbiology, clinical chemistry, hematology, cancer screening, histopathology. Nabo igokorenka amarwere buna HIV, brucellosis, gose oburwere bw'amabere, arthritis na yanda mange. Boigon korenka bale omubere bwensi, asamarwere buna prostate cancer, asamange. Batalire imeyo muchobosongo, asamagacho asansora complex center of Capital Roundabout angena National Bank kusoba kiresimi.
Najali afya yako, usigoje kuungua ndiposa tutembelee.
Dynapath Laboratories,
a legacy of excellence.
Asegati yaito ntubwata abantu bali nobolema n'abantabwa mbabwata magani yabo mbabwata byewa mbasomete naboigo mbatagitama baga asemerimo nakubwatisiwa asubugima bwokera lituko
inyura obolema igorobole inyura kerema nkelikose kwa inyura ekerema ngechiche
nakyoge kogera asumurubulyo bwobolema asubugima Jared Wilberforce niga gukoretera ensemo ilyotamanyiti igoro yabo
turabe tugwesemia kwemanyia na kwegokia ase amanganonsi pi ali arengete abantu baito abali no bolema ayekwarorire bagotenga
Kera rituko ria Jumanne chinsa isano nemo chia mogaso no moiroro rituko ria Jumapili chinsa isato nenusu chia butuko oborema asubugima imeya Ndizi TV. Ndizi TV ubwansu bw'omugusi.
Vyakegima mwanchu muligere bweta sene kia Ndizi TV na ndengo kwaligania asentunda ya kabere na boige yo moelio chinga kitogenda gusanga imeyo morobelio bwense yo bonchelia sogendete kumulikira amangana ao anemono ase serikali mbia mono sana sibali mogendete kobwatia omorobelio ase chinsemo chiche mitandao asensemo ya Facebook wetera Ndizi TV News Digital na wega sensemo ya YouTube wetera Ndizi TV News semo ye website gwetera www.ndizitv.net karondo chenga asenseme ya Facebook Ndizi TV News Digital nindo che Fei Nicole agatebanga pamoja nikiwa the Green Town mbiamono sana Moseti Innocent Kebande sokora agatebanga pamoja from Kenya Village Nyamira County mbiamono sana Walter James agatebanga shida iko na shida ni hao viongozi kwanza wanapeana leseni za kufanya biashara na kupokea hongo kutoka kwa wafanyabiashara Gusii ili kupata mwanya wa kufanya yasiyo ambatana na viwango vya ubora. Ambia sana sokoro birengeli byago kirondo chenga amulikereta mangana yobo ni bwebinyogo byogotinde bibitanchiri ne serikali nyeru manchi mulianga kuboliwa niko kwabeta gukuru kura sensemeria IG nga babe bako abanyanyimbo umurubiri yuboko ena na chi license ucha ase bali bakonya ebinyugo byogotinda nshito kubeto kumulikirengane ya soweme yuni yule mmoja akotebanga akotuned byamana sana Edwin Mauti akotebanga akorwa Migori akondani James Atandi akotebanga akorwa Mangere Superstars Ogembo mbategerete buyambya mano sana Dennis Marita akotebanga akorwa chinsemo chirichana kuru ni kondani byamano sana Jared Oyunge kurwa Nyankororo agatebanga imeyo morobili bwakirita agatanga abwakire byamano sana mwanchi muligeria nayo gendeta ko bwati umorobili nabo igotaralika ujumbe yagu Ndeto mwanchumulia toligerelie asense mo yumo prime cabinet Musalia Mudavadi kiraberega kumirana n'ababwatani naboigo umuwaziri uboboncheria Rebecca Miano nari babere bagokwanira asogokinya ebirengo byoboncheria kirababere bakumurikira nga ENSE ya Kenya nigegendete kwimuka ibitambukiro anene mono ase okoene kyagose okoena na liva galigia asababwatani korwa chinse chiricheisiko koene kebunanko gachabale eniwe yabo asense ya Kenya mwanchumulia atigango tonyore enkwana gose chinkwana cyabo kubwatikana nali babere bakumurikira soko bekebirengo byugokinya oboncheria asense ya Kenya.
It is very gratifying to witness steady progress in efforts geared towards expanding investment and commercial opportunities between Canada and Kenya, and we do extend a very, very warm welcome to the delegation that has arrived from Canada. As the ministry in charge of private sector development, I assure you of all the ministry's support in facilitating and supporting the establishment of your investments. And Kenya has a diversified economy that provides investment opportunities in multiple sectors, like we have already had. I'm therefore excited that this conference will focus on, among other sectors, the areas of medical care, infrastructure, energy, financing for Canada-Africa projects, and fintech development.
The whole issue around democracy is very, very dear to Kenya, extremely dear. We are celebrating 60 years of our independence and partnership with many countries. And one of the things that really comes out is that Kenya, during all this time, has never failed to have elections. It's something we take for granted, but it is the truth. Since the day that our founding fathers said we are independent, we have consistently, religiously, regularly held elections. And we've gone a notch higher, where people have been dissatisfied, even at a presidential election level. The avenue that has been taken is the judicial process. And Kenya literally became the first country where the Supreme Court has overturned a presidential election. But we still held out and went again in accordance with the demands of the court to do a repeat election, and here we are today. I've just come from the African Union meeting, where the President of Kenya was leading our delegation. And one of the things that came out is that never before in the history of the African Union have we had 6 countries facing sanctions and suspended from participating in the activities of the African Union because of undemocratic practices. So what do we do? I think to consolidate democracy, I would really urge that the business people take a very prominent role, engage, work together, make the economies vibrant, and the attention will be focused on building economies and not destabilizing nations. So this challenge is with you as business people. We have very good relations with Canada. I've had a couple of phone conversations with the foreign minister on a number of bilateral issues, and we shall continue to engage robustly. And Canada, you've had a strong presence here. To the best of my memory, recollection, if I remember, I think even Eldoret Airport, which is an international airport here, was built by Canadian firms. So there's a strong partnership here, and we can make it bigger, as the business people did say. So let's work, let's grow the numbers, and as we grow the numbers, let us also balance them so that they're not too heavily skewed in favor of one or the other. The whole issue around democracy is very, very dear to Kenya, extremely dear. We are celebrating 60 years of our independence and partnership with many countries. And one of the things that really comes out is that Kenya, during all this time, has never failed to have elections. It's something we take for granted, but it is the truth. Since the day that our founding fathers said we are independent, we have consistently, religiously, regularly held elections. And we've gone a notch higher, where people have been dissatisfied, even at a presidential election level. The avenue that has been taken is the judicial process. And Kenya literally became the first country where the Supreme Court has overturned a presidential election. But we still held out and went again in accordance with the demands of the court to do a repeat election, and here we are today. I've just come from the African Union meeting, where the President of Kenya was leading our delegation. And one of the things that came out is that never before in the history of the African Union have we had 6 countries facing sanctions and suspended from participating in the activities of the African Union because of undemocratic practices. So what do we do? I think to consolidate democracy, I would really urge that the business people take a very prominent role, engage, work together, make the economies vibrant, and the attention will be focused on building economies and not destabilizing nations. I also take this opportunity to welcome you to Kenya, a magnificent country endowed with abundant opportunities. While you're here, take advantage of visiting the Nairobi National Park right here in the city and the Nairobi National Museum to relish in the magical Kenya experience. Our strategic location makes Kenya the natural gateway to 3 strategic economic blocks, namely the East African Community, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. These trading blocks present unique opportunities for consolidating, diversifying, and expanding exports to the African market. Additionally, Kenya's infrastructure, which includes the Port of Mombasa, the Lamu Port, South Sudan-Ethiopia Transport Corridor, that's the LAPSET, and Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, as well as its coastline along the Indian Ocean, guarantees effective and reliable logistics and transportation gateway to the rest of the African countries. Notwithstanding, Kenya is the regional logistics and financial hub, a leading regional financial hub, a top destination for foreign direct investment and venture capital, and also the presence of Konza Technopolis, commonly referred to as the Silicon Savannah of Africa. Kenya has a young, vibrant, highly skilled and educated workforce, giving companies access to qualified human resource. Kenya.
Ebyakigima mwancho mulyeria okuna kokobwatira na gwense ya Kenya ne chinse chechesko anomono asense ya Canada elinda kwanekya nga eni bongo ikiranira asense ya Kenya nabo igo amabaga aongo toka leli bagalya bene lyo kwanekya nga ababwatani ikorwa chinse chechesko ngo ikabalira asense ya Kenya nabo igo kogacha eni yabo mwancho mulyego ikirabu nongo ikira omweli obomorobele bwense oboncheli abona mambya kolende tigatomera neli ya ejuma astrabe togo sanga amange mbimano sana sipali mwabere mukubwatia omorobelyo otoga chagetego ikabona igato ikira omwele no gasemere kwa nakobere gukwemanya amange abakanda gutubwatia sense mo chichi mitandao sense mo ya Facebook gwetera Ndizi TV News Digital abiga sense mo ya YouTube gwetera Ndizi TV News sense mo ya website na gwetera www.ndizitv.net iritere FRIDAH KERUBO no liena kebna chibi channel yogi yago kera sole asenchira ya benene resara mumanyi twara oboligereria urubia.